Did you see that?
Yeah.
We are live.
First time. Let me
This
see.
is Ramiro's first time. He's
Yes.
a newbie virgin. So anybody who is joining, hopefully you know that we are smack dab in the middle of New Year, New You. And every year I put together these amazing components and no way around it. Ramiro, people want to know about losing weight. They want to know about food. They want to know about exercise. But let me tell everybody, I have been working with Ramiro for over a year. He is the owner of Hacienda del Sol, which is this incredible, magical, detoxing, resetting spa, I'm going to call it.
Wellness center. Yes.
Wellness center. I have my whole own way that I view it. So, because I've been there 4 times.
Yeah.
And they teach fascia blasting classes. They have their massage therapists are all certified and do some of the treatments. So we're very much synergistic. But when I met Ramiro, I had already been, in Hollywood, basically working with the best of the best, prepping, movie stars for their roles. I had been a bodybuilder. I've been in the world of nutrition forever. And when you and I started talking, I was like, no, I've never heard that. Yeah. And so that was something I felt really compelled to grab Ramiro out of the jungle and have him share some of his knowledge. So we're actually going to kick off his group on the main live feed so that you guys can, do you see what a beautiful place? Yeah. Somebody has been to Hacienda del Sol. It is a beautiful place.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So we're going to kick it off and we're going to drop some of that knowledge right here, right now. And just so you know, everybody, the New Year, New You program is always free. And you can interact directly with Ramiro in his group. We'll be dropping those links in the comments, but it's called Ancestral Health on Facebook. Ancestral Health with Ramiro, with the name misspelled. So it's with an O, not with an A. All right, so give them, I think the main thing is, tell me about Ancestral Health.
Yes. Okay.
Like, what is it? Like, why do we call it that?
Yes. So the entire concept around the retreat center is built around ancestral health. Now, the whole ancestral health thing right now is seen as like, oh, we're supposed to leave like caveman, I need raw liver. There's a lot of that
going on a vision quest and
all that stuff. Yes. So no, the whole ancestral health thing is about just reestablishing natural cycles that human beings have, and then from reestablishing those natural cycles, hopefully the experience of wellness comes up. Of course, basically their losing weight becomes a byproduct when those cycles are starting to get reestablished. So the goal is not the weight loss, but the reestablishment of the cycles. And then, hopefully, that starts to come up.
It's so pretty that he says that because, of course, the thing I said first meeting was, Ramiro, I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of menopause. I'm sick of your face. I'm just sick of everything. I have been desperately trying to lose weight for years and years and years and been through the gut, been through the this and been through the that. And you basically said, slow your roll. Let's get the basics in place. Yeah. And then the weight loss should be natural because I was already doing most of the right things. So when we say resetting those cycles, which cycles are they? And then can we get into kind of how do we do it? Yeah. Or how do we begin?
Yeah, they're very simple. I mean, it's interesting because it feels like new information, but when you think about it, it's very simple stuff. So I'll just touch on 3 basic cycles. So one is the day and night cycle. You're supposed to have certain hormones during the day, certain hormones during the night. The circadian rhythm, basically, it's and that basically, the way we try to do it is just trying to have sunlight touching us as soon as possible as we wake up, especially in the eyelids.
Pause right there because how many of you can wave or throw up a heart, don't even see the sun at all during the day, much less in the morning hours. This is something that I have changed. It was difficult during the rainy season. But getting up first thing, and I get up early anyway, but getting out into the sun and doing something in the sun, looking at the sun, feeling the sun on my skin.
Yeah.
Big change. So I would look at all the hearts going up.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of people out there that it's not that you can't do it, even if you live in these cold places.
No.
It's that this isn't prioritized. You know, we're so busy, you know, trying to, you know, get our 250 calorie meals that we're not looking at these core things.
This I have nothing against supplements or anything like that, but this has to start first. This is very, very, very important, because this is something we see a lot. Is people that they have access to a lot of stuff right now, but without this, they can't figure out what it doesn't really stick. So like it's simple. You know, if your hormone, like if you can feel this. If your day and night cycles are off, you immediately see effects on your thoughts. Like you think differently, you look at life differently, your health is different. Correct? That one's one that most people don't really, you know, they understand. The other two are the ones that people seem to be like, wait, what? One of them is the energy system. So metabolism used to have, you know, we had different seasons. We used to be seasonal creatures.
Yeah, and when we say the energy system, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about our metabolism, because most of my viewers are in the age range, and also they live in the technocratic U.S., you know, where this is very common. And I would say that throw up hearts if you feel like your metabolism is in the shithole. I know for me, I was like, did it just stop? And I think it kind of did.
But it's not that it stops. It gets slow, it gets lazy. I think that's a better way of putting it. And so this is the thing. Seasonally means we used to have access to fruit, to carbs, and there was a lot of really good signals one would get, right? Like you eat something sweet and it's like, ooh, delicious. And this used to mean there's no poison, so eat more and more and more of that, yeah? It also will raise the insulin, which means start preparing for winter. So those were all things that our body really likes. The problem right now is that we're getting those signals consistently.
Because we used to store those delicious peaches and they would ferment, and it was a whole nother thing in winter,
we just had it seasonally. Like it was something that it wasn't available all the time.
Right, because you were eating whatever was available.
Even if you farm, there was still seasons.
That's right, yeah.
And when the season was over, you didn't just crash and have like an anxiety attack. You just you had to do something else now, and the metabolism would change, and it would be able to use fat very well. Now this is where the whole weight loss thing starts to come in quite a bit, is because resetting your metabolism like this, getting the metabolic flexibility back online, it really means being able to use fat well again. Now, it's important to define what I mean by using it well again. It just means that there's not stress hormones when you're burning fat, because your body's not going into a fight or flight response, because it understands it, because that metabolism is back online. The whole concept of metabolic flexibility, it's just that, being able to switch back and forth between different fuel sources.
I.e. different diets.
Different diets.
And when I say that, I don't mean going on a diet. I just mean we should be able to eat a variety of foods.
Yes.
And just do well.
That your body can use it well. When I say well, I just mean that it's not, that you're not asphyxiated by stress hormones, that it just doesn't suck to go into something like that. And there's a process to getting, rehabilitating a part of our metabolism.
Exactly.
Yes. And it's an adaptation that needs to happen, which is our mitochondria, the energy centers in our cells. We need to create a denser system of that.
Okay.
And the stressor for that,
which goes great with fascia blasting.
Yeah, it goes great with that.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why we really clicked in with. There's a lot of things. The other cycle is the nervous system, and that one with the fascia blasting was amazing. But
I had never heard this. Have you guys ever heard about like retraining your body to burn fat efficiently, but not in fight or flight? Because one of the things that anybody who's out there who's menopausal, who's working with a hormone doctor, the first thing they told me, and I'm sure other women are getting this advice, is that they, that like my workouts, because they were so intense, even though they were good and I was burning the calories and working out for an hour and like all these things were good, I was doing it in fight or flight. My body was sensing it. So that was a big switch when I started working with you, understanding training and working out in a way that brings joy.
Exactly. Because this is the thing. If you're doing any of these things in a state of fight or flight, there's no way you're sticking to it. It's impossible. You're just gonna burn out, basically. That's what you're gonna, because you have to add the stress of your life to that. It's not just of your physical activity or of a diet that sucks, that's making you suffer. The stress from your everyday life, eventually you're gonna crash. Yes? And this is, I think we all know what that feels like.
So is that where the dose comes in? We don't have to talk about that yet.
I'll talk about that in a second. But the metabolic flexibility is about removing at least one big source of that stress. The source was, let me just give you an example so it makes more sense, okay? Most people, if they wake up and they get hungry and they can't go to work unless they have something to eat. They can't think clearly. They can't solve a problem if they don't have something to eat. This is a sign of a metabolism a brain that can only function on food. It's a brain that doesn't understand that it has cupcakes available all the time, all this stored energy. It doesn't know how to use that, so it has a fight or flight response because it feels like it's dying.
Right.
When you retrain that, if you go back to that same scenario, that's not happening. You actually go into peak performance because as humans, when we didn't have food, it's when we had to be at our best. We had to think very clearly. We had to physically, we're probably gonna have to go catch something that doesn't want to get caught. So the idea is to get that back, that instead of when we don't have food available, we crash, or when we eat certain things that don't have glucose in them, carbs in them, we crash. The idea with that is we thrive on that we actually feel really good. That's the very liberating thing about metabolic flexibility, and it works like muscle memory. So the reason why it works by muscle memory is because you're creating changes in the mitochondria, like I had explained to you, like the mitochondrial density. When you build that, which takes about 6 weeks, for some people a little bit more. We're doing a 6-week course, which is great. Hopefully this will do it. Once you do it, even if you lose it later on, it's easier to come back to it because this was not just about the weight loss. This was about changing the way your energy system works.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah.
So
that's some hearts if that makes sense. Yeah. We're resetting the metabolism by
so there's less stress involved.
So there's less stress involved, and we're producing the right hormones instead of living on our stress hormones. Now, we are going to talk about how to do that.
Yes, I am going to talk about how we do that. And I guess the whole course is going to be going through that. But one thing that is important, because sometimes the whole stress thing doesn't make... What I really mean by that is that it takes less willpower to do this.
Right.
That's really, at the end, how this is experienced.
Because your body's vibing.
Because your brain is tapped into energy. So you don't need to force things so much. It feels more organic. Hunger becomes more physical rather than so psychological. So there's a very direct experience of it. It's not a number. It's a very subjective... Yeah, it's a very subjective experience, but it's very shocking when it happens. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was kind of a night and day difference. I felt like, even though the 6 weeks was pretty intense, and strict, because I did a carb depletion. We can talk about that, but it was like, okay, I literally feel my body running better, and now I have actually returned to more intense exercise, and it feels good instead of like physical stress. We're not there to beat our bodies to death, because I'll say this in terms of how does this work with fascia, which is my big thing, is fascia reacts, and the way that it reacts is it's a protective mechanism. So if it thinks we're getting injured or we're banging, you guys have heard my sermons about running and all of this kind of stuff, then it's going to come in and protect. So this program works really, really well.
Well, that's a third cycle. That you're added an invaluable tool to that third cycle. The third cycle that we work on is the nervous system. And it's basically the nervous system. We're just talking about not avoiding stress, but getting better at processing stress, at digesting stress. And there's a lot of things that happen with that, which I'm not going to go into all the details about. I do want to say something with the fascia blasting that we found like, wow, this is crazy. It's because, you know, it gets stored in the body. And we had never found something so efficient, so fast, that teaches people to do it on their own, to release this. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of these things, of these cycles that I'm talking about, you should be able to do this stuff on your own. And that was one of the tools that the fascia blasting really brought into place for us, to start reestablishing that cycle of like, yeah, you get stressed out, but you can digest it well, getting out of the chronic stress. That's the difference between like a stress that's constructive and a stress that's
right.
corrosive, is if you're digesting it. The
that's
chemicals
right.
are identical. The stress is stress. And one is very good, the other one kills you. And how much you release it or just process it, and how much it gets stuck in the body, the more techniques you have for that, that's a cycle that you're restoring to normal function. So you restore those 3 cycles, and things just get easier. They just get better. Your circadian rhythms are good. If your metabolism, you're not getting a cortisol and an adrenaline spike anytime if you're not eating for 3 hours, you need to eat again. And with the other one, you can have a lot of stress in your life, but you get good at digesting it at some point in the day, so you increase actually your capacity to be able to work with it. So those 3 things are basically
what I think is so huge about this is, you know, I see a lot of wellness coaches on here. We have a lot of people, massage therapists, and it's kind of like the world is just starting to understand this, because mm-hmm. I feel like 10 years ago, like, everybody would have been like, "Oh, you're so woo-woo and crazy," yes. You know.
Yeah.
But now, this is, you know, this is really where all of the science is going, and I think just bringing this to the awareness and making it first.
Yes.
You know, yes, we want to shop at our farmers market. Like, yes, we want to minimize stress. Yes, we want to meditate and all of those things. But when you introduced dose system to me, it was like, okay, this is what I absolutely have to do. And pure Vita vibration, that's scared and loud. They said, bring on the woo-woo. Sound is very good for the nervous system, as we know.
So we can.
But I think it's just even choosing this, because I do think people live in sort of emergency mode. Like, I have to feed my kids. I have to go to work. I have to get XYZ project done, and then the day gets on, and then it's like, okay, but I'm still going to eat my vegetable. I'm still going to do this. But this kind of overriding engine is what kind of gets pushed to the side. So that's what I'm really hoping this year is with this way of approaching eating, that not just eating, but just approaching your schedule, that all the components work together to create the ability to be lean, be healthy, bright. You know, and I see and feel a physical difference in myself, but I prioritize dose.
Great. Do you want to talk about the dose system, or do you want to go into the metabolic flexibility, how you achieve it?
Let's do both. Do metabolic flexibility, because I think everybody's like, I definitely want to make sure that I know how to have metabolic flexibility. I'd like to be able to go to Italy and eat there, and then, you know, or change with the seasons and things like that. So I think talking about how do we reset it, because this is the nuts and bolts of what are you going to do for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a lot of the program is focused on this. So, okay, so the whole metabolic flexibility thing, the main way to achieving it is with not giving your brain enough glucose to function. Why? Because that creates an adaptation. What's the adaptation? The mitochondrial density. It's a stressor. You need to stress the system out a little bit, because what the body needs to remember is that it has energy available to it all the time. Now, the way you restrict that glucose is where you start getting a lot of distinctions in different protocols of diets and people. And people have to pick the ones that are not causing them an anxiety attack. that they like and that they can stick to. So,
and also this is just the reset. This is so you can eat healthy and variety for the rest of your life.
Correct.
Like I would never do this if this was, a year.
Yeah. So,
or what I needed to do for the rest of my life.
So yes, so this is the thing with the metabolic flexibility. It's the idea again. It's like a muscle memory. So it's like you get it. It's just a part of our energy system. Just to get it back online. It does not mean that you can't eat carbs again. Even in this, it doesn't mean that you can't eat carbs. It's just, are they going to be your main source of brain power? Basically,
exactly.
That is a very big difference. Is are you overly relying on them? This is a point that I want to make very clear. Carbs are not bad. I love carbs. They're fruit, vegetables, like no problem with them. And the problem is just the over reliance on them. That they're the main source of fuel, basically. Yeah.
And sadly, in a traditional American diet, which I don't know what that is anymore, but definitely there's carbs every meal.
Yeah.
And
the food pyramid is mostly carbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a big part of our diet, and that's what I mean. Like they're not seasonal anymore, right? So we need to create somehow in the modern world that kind of environment where they're not necessarily seasonal, but they need to be somehow restricted for a bit, for periods of time, not forever. And again, the way you do it is different for everybody. So some people go on keto. Keto is very intense. For some people, it doesn't work at all. I tried it during COVID with a lot of clients. It was the worst because of the amount of stress that people are having in their lives.
That's right. And then you add that stressor.
Brutal.
Of the restriction, yeah.
Brutal. The other ones is things more like paleo, primal, like those kind of things.
Standard American diet, SAD. It is sad.
Yeah,
Love that. UW Health and Wellness.
It's
funny.
just, it's you can do it in a way that you can still have carbs that you like. And when I say look, I'm talking about whole foods. I'm talking about real food. This would be the starting point.
I think that's step number one.
This would be step number
like
one.
Literally, and this is for life. Eat whole foods. It's so crazy. Today I actually got very busy. I told you I had a stressful day. Maybe that's why I went for the carbs. But I made Jordy and I bagels, sandwiches for lunch. And I realized like, oh my God, I haven't had bread or bagel or something out of a package in months. I just don't eat like that anymore. And I think it's actually one of the easier and one of the best things that you can do is just make that switch.
Exactly.
Don't eat out of the bags, don't eat out of the boxes. Just
it's not that dramatic. Food. And you do that long enough and the metabolic flexibility, you start to see it. The way you see it, there's 3 things that we test for it, and they're all subjective. This is very important. This is not a number. This is not blood work or anything. One is appetite. Appetite starts feeling more physical rather than so psychological. The other one's energy. Energy is more stable with this. And the reason for that is because we're out of that insulin glucose roller coaster. You have constant energy from this. When you're out of the glucose that you've used, now you can use the fat, no problem, no stress hormones in there. And the third marker that we use is if you can read or pay attention to focus or do something that's complicated when you're in a fasted state. And the fasted state is interesting because it means that the food is not fueling your brain activity. You gotta be doing it for something else. And if you can do something complicated, read something complicated, it means that the most expensive part of your brain is now online when you don't have calories from food. And that's the first one to go. This is why it's so difficult to diet, is because people usually go to like a more emotional, reactive.
Crazy. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is the thing that
Trust
we're testing.
Trust me, also, Ramiro knows this because at Hacienda del Sol, if you're just joining us, Ramiro is the owner of Hacienda del Sol along with his beautiful wife, Crystal. And this is what I've been talking about for almost 2 years now. It is fast with enemas, but you are given all the nutrition that you need through juices. It's to strip the intestines. But this creation of metabolic flexibility, you did that test with me, and it was like I was humming, on all cylinders during the fast, which is great.
So this is an important thing, is because this is the difference between fasting and starving. When you're this kind of stuff, the metabolic flexibility, you get good at fasting. Like, it just means you're gonna be, during the time that you don't have food, you're gonna be using fat. You're not gonna be eating your muscle. You're gonna be using ketones, stuff like that. When you don't know how to do that and you fast, it's terrible. You're starving. That's why it sucks. You're filled with stress hormones. You can get tunnel vision, super irritated, emotional, all that stuff. This is a sign you're not ready for that. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong or anything. It just means there needs to be a buildup.
This is why the daily program, anybody who's just joined us, we send you a daily email, and Ramiro's program is on here, and it's great because no one can just jump in and be like, okay, go today. And I love today's challenge was to actually, your food journaling, but the whole goal is to check in with these systems. How am I feeling? What did I respond to? Am I fatigued? Am I this, that? Because to change anything, you have to bring awareness to it. And so I'm assuming, because I haven't read your whole program, I'm doing it live, that's what it does. Is it kind of prepares you in terms of awareness to start making these various choices.
Yes, this is very important. Because the whole thing with this is to not just do things by willpower, but to be paying attention to biofeedback. This is something that we work with a lot in Hacienda del Sol, because a lot of people just like, go, go, go. Like, this is the challenge, I'm going to do it. And they stop listening to this. This is one of the things with the dose system. Where we work with a lot. Do you want me to get into?
I would love, I want to introduce to the audience, anyone who's just coming in. We're talking today with Ramiro. He is running one of our New Year, New You groups. And we are talking kind of about what you want to eat, because we're taking a new approach. And it's something that I've been doing for the past year. And I tell you, I feel better and better and better. And I really feel like 2023 is going to be the year that I turn the corner, because I feel like my body's working again. And a big part of it is everything that Ramiro just said. You can always watch the replay. We'll also dice this up and drop it in the group, Ancestral Health with Ramiro. But what I do want to go in is talk about the DOSE system. Those are 4 vital hormones, and right when I started working with you, I can tell you guys personally what I did to accomplish the dose system. But when you prioritize the hormones, it really is like the body gets in line. So I did the metabolic reflex. I chose, my restriction was no carbs and no alcohol, which is carbs, and I did no sugar, and I did it for 6 weeks, and it was amazing. However, I did a lot leading up to that, so that was not that dramatic of a shift for me, and I had just come off of the fast, like the actual program at Hacienda del Sol. So you might have to baby step into it.
This is all baby steps, and the program is made to be baby steps. This is a program, by the way, what you're doing right now was a program that was created for people that are in high stress environments. This is what we found when we were coaching people online, again, during COVID. A lot of the programs that we had did not work because the external sources of stress need to be taken into consideration. When you're in a bubble, we had control over that. So the program had to change. This is what came out of that. So it is baby steps. This is very important, and a lot of biofeedback. Now, the dose system is a way of getting biofeedback, by the way. So,
let's jump in.
Let's go into the dose system.
Let's talk about what DOSE is. What does it stand for?
So the dose system stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, okay? But to understand it, let's talk about...
They're like, what?
Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, okay? But to understand why this is important, there's a rat study that clarifies this, what I'm about to say, and there's a spiritual analogy, so just bear with me. Okay, the rat study is the following. There's a rat study done in the 60s, I don't know, with cocaine. Okay, what happened? The rats in the lab setting, they had access to cocaine. What happened? They all got addicted to cocaine. Oh, cocaine is addicted. Case closed. Correct? Okay. That same study was done again, 2013, 2014, but they were changing variables. The main change of the variable was the setting, the environment that the rat was in. Okay. So the rat was just doing rat stuff. They were playing with other rats. They were digging holes. And one of the things is they could not see people. So there was no giants around them in a lab setting. For as far as the rats knew, they were just doing rat stuff. Yes. And they still had access to the cocaine. Okay? The rates of addictions went down. Boom! Yes, significantly. This is where those things start to come in. The environment that they were in, the difference was they had the dose. They had all of those neurotransmitters, the happy chemicals online in their environment. They weren't being fed them. It was the activities that they were naturally doing that was creating them in them, that they didn't need this as much. And when I explain them, it'll make sense in your own life. The other one that I want you to take into consideration is a spiritual analogy of the elephant and the rider, okay? So we're the rider, the person that makes plans, the rational mind, the person that thinks ahead, the ones that wants to do changes. This is the rider, right? The elephant is
rider, like ride on.
Okay. Yes, everybody never understood my accent. So I mean somebody riding.
Riding the elephant.
Sorry, English is not my main language. But somebody riding an elephant, like a
like a jockey,
like a jockey,
like an elephant jockey,
like an elephant jockey. Yes, so just bear with me, please. They're riding the elephant. Elephant is very powerful. If the elephant wants to go a certain way, the elephant's going to go a certain way. Yes, no matter how much you pull, no matter what you do, the elephant's going a certain way. Yes, very powerful. This elephant represents our ancestral systems. Everything that has ever kept us alive. Okay? Anytime you have a craving, anytime you get angry, anytime you get reactive, anytime, anything that just feels out of control, anything that spoils your plans, basically, whenever you want to do something and it's like, anytime you have to use insane willpower to get something, you're fighting with the systems, correct?
Wrestling the elephant.
Yes. So the dose system is how we communicate with the elephant. This is the language that the elephant understands. This is the language that the ancestral systems understand. They're happy chemicals and safety chemicals. Okay, so I'm going to go through them and let's see if they make sense. The first one is dose. Dose is dopamine and it's sensorial and it lasts very little. Okay? Think of anytime you look at something beautiful, anytime you taste something delicious, anytime you listen to a song that you like, you know, it's short-lived, but it's amazing. It's very pleasurable. We all have those things, always sensorial. If you touch a cat versus a cactus, it feels different. And people are very different with these things, right? This ancestrally used to mean do more of that. For example, a fruit used to produce a lot of dopamine. Yes, so do more of that.
And
no
foods still do. Like when we eat something amazing.
This is the thing that this is the out of all the when we get over this, out of all the happy chemicals, this one is under our control consistently. So if these other ones are not happening, this is the one that we're going to be latching on to. It's the one that we're going to be pushing.
That's why people emotional eat.
Yes, and when you see the other ones, you'll get it.
Or become porn addicts.
Yes, whatever. It's a very fast way of getting something that calms the elephant down, that makes the system be like, I'm safe, at least for right now, because that's what it used to mean. Yes, when we would see a deer, that would be a dopamine hit. Now, not when we catch it. This is a different story. But just that, it's just guiding our behavior to something. Yes? Okay. Then the dark side of it is all addictions that you can think of. Too little of it, an extreme of it.
All in the dopamine.
Yeah. Everything you mentioned, anything that is easy to get a pleasure. Your phones are an amazing source of dopamine, by the way. Anything that you get a feedback from right away. Nothing wrong with this, by the way. It's just important to understand it. And if you don't get one of these,
people.
Yes, because if you don't get dopamine, then you got a problem too, right? So it's important, right? And too little of it's a condition called anhedonia, like you just can't experience pleasure. Or if you want to just simple terms, very bitter people that just can't enjoy anything, right? There's something going on with that, with those systems, with the dopamine centers. The next one is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the one that ancestrally increase our survival the most because it allows us to create tribes. And this is
so important too for, I always tell people, if you've got a lot of, family drama, you're going through something, all of my Facebook groups, literally people have made truer connections in these Facebook groups with other like-minded, positive people. Yes. And sometimes it's just, you're not able to create a tribe.
Very difficult.
Like the physical world.
Your body knows. We go back to the biofeedback.
Yep.
This is the elephant. The elephant is not black. It's not. There's no gray zone with this. This is yes or no. Just the same way that if you listen to a song that you don't like, that's it. You don't like it. I can't convince you of that. Food that you don't like, I can't convince you of that. With people, it's kind of like the same thing. Mm-hmm. Your body knows that. It feels safe around certain people. You get the sense of that you don't have to wear a mask when you're talking to them.
Find your tribe.
Yes, it's your tribe. This is just, it's people you feel safe with. Again, that calms down the elephant, okay? An overabundance, too much of that, like dependence of that, is codependent relationships. Mm-hmm. The other person gives you a sense of meaning. There's something there. Without that person, you cannot experience any form of purpose, basically. Too little of it will have an intense form of social anxiety. Basically, every person becomes a threat. That's on the other extreme of it, yeah? So it's somewhere in the middle line there that we want to make sure.
Isn't this fascinating, though? Because, like, really what we're talking about is, like, our approach to weight loss.
It is, and I'll say what.
But
the reason,
that elephant is, wow.
Because if we don't understand this elephant and we don't dare to talk about it, we will always have to use excess willpower to work with it, and it has a short time limit.
Or chemicals, or like the quick fix. When this
you
is
will
the
end
long
up
fix.
in a bad place. You need to learn the biofeedback, how to talk to the animal. Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's not negotiable. You know this stuff. You again, when you meet someone that gives you this immediately, all if sensorially, you know what you like with the dopamine. You get it right away. You don't have to think about this. This is not a rational thing. The next one is serotonin. I love serotonin because serotonin has been disproved as having to do something with anxiety. Sorry, with depression. But I still use it for this example. And I'll tell you why at the end. Serotonin is technically supposed to be the hormone that gives us, that we produce when we are of value to something or someone. Ancestrally, it's made, if we are of value, we're going to be protected. It's when we feel like
so ancestrally, it would be like, I'm the best basket weaver in the tribe.
Yeah, what you do has meaning, it has value.
Yeah.
So you're not, you don't want, the tribe is going to protect you. Yes?
Right.
By what you do.
That's right.
This calms us down. Yes. A sense of pride would be that. A sense of contribution. A sense of that what you do is purposeful.
Matters.
Now, it matters, yes. Now, the thing with serotonin is that it takes work to get to. You cannot get this unless it's hard. Unless it's something that you fought with. And there's no way around that. You need to feel a sense of pride with something. If it's too easy, no.
I don't want to interrupt, but I do, because this is a big part of why I brought in Corey and Lisa, because one of the things that we found in the research for our book, B, From Passion and Purpose to Products and Prosperity, is in the workplace that 92% of people felt unfulfilled.
Yeah.
With their job. So I would think that a big part of this is job, the role you play in your home.
Yes.
And one of the things in the B book, and it's things that's also a part of this free New Year program, is working with that.
Yes.
You know, working with like, no, I'm not cleaning the house. Yeah. I am creating a beautiful environment for my family. And shifting, not necessarily what you're doing, maybe you do, but shifting that awareness and intention behind it. So I love the way that all four groups work so well together.
Yeah. And too much of it would be like workaholism, yes? Like your job becomes the only thing that gives you any sense of meaning. It's without that, like you don't have any hobbies, you don't have any friends. If you're retired, you have no idea what to do, this is a big problem with this, yes? This is a system that you overstimulated, you abused it. Too little of it would be like depression. Yes, or just somebody that has no purpose, no meaningful. What did you call it? It's like a couch potato or something like that. It's like somebody just don't want to do anything. No drive, basically. That would be like on the other end of this. And then the next one is endorphins. And endorphins are the things. Again, the elephant likes this because the elephant likes knowing that it can stand pain. That was very important for us ancestrally to know that we can survive pain. Like a tiger slashes you and your chance of survival goes significantly up if you can block the pain and you can run. Whereas if you just start like crying because you just got scratched,
I'm
you're
bleeding.
Dead. Yes.
Yeah.
So the endorphins are a painkiller basically, and we love them. We love them when we move. We love them when we do exercise. Now, this is not exercise is not the only way of getting them. You get them when you belly laugh. You get them when you eat spicy food. Anything that gives you some kind of painful, how do you say, like a pleasurable pain or something like that you can handle.
Like the sweet stretch of yoga.
Yeah, you're producing endorphins there. Yeah. Now, of course, it can be abused.
Surfing, being terrified for your life, and then catching a great wave.
Yeah, you're gonna get.
What about sex? Is that dopamine?
Sex gives you everything.
Okay.
Sex gives you the dopamine.
All right, I gotta go.
It's all the touch. you get the oxytocin, of course, because of the bonding, the trust. You're so vulnerable. You get the serotonin, just creating something together. I'm not talking about babies. Like, it's just the energy, the vibe, whatever you're doing, and you're getting the endorphins just from the movement, the physical activity of it. There's so much. Sex is, of course, it's so intoxicating. We get everything like that. But
I love activities that get D, O, S, and E. Surfing does that for me.
Yeah.
Sex does that for me.
Going on a walk with someone that you like can also do that for you.
Produce all four.
Yeah, it's not
evenly.
this difficult. Yes, and you can see this, you can feel this. Yes. Now, again, what do they have to do with dieting? This is very important that we get. I know I talked about they calm the elephant down a lot, but it's interesting and it's important to identify if there's one that you've been overcompensating with. Because one of the things that we find a lot of Hacienda. We get a lot of people that they think that food is a problem, and they want to learn to eat less.
Listen, anybody like me that is holding body fat or is hitting menopause or like has a healthy lifestyle, good food, and is not lean, feels that way. We feel, almost shame. Yeah, I'll speak for myself that it's like what we are doing isn't working, and we think we need a better diet. We think we need different exercise or more exercise or whatever. And so it was really mind-blowing to just kind of throw all of that out of the window and focus on dose.
Yes. The holy grail is in this. If you can find a healthy diet that is delicious, this is what we're really trying to do. If your food is not giving you dopamine, like this is something we do a lot in Hacienda, right? Because they think they need to. Sometimes we get people that if they like the food, they have an anxiety attack. Because they think that that's not healthy. It can't be healthy. They can't enjoy it for it to get them to where they want to be. If we give them a big plate of whatever, they think they need to starve. If they don't starve, this is just not going to work. And they come and they meet with me and they're just, you can see them with an anxiety attack. And this is the big thing that we're trying to change with that. Is food should be delicious. You should not be starving. I know I'm talking about fasting, but fasting is not the same as starving. And maybe later on we'll get more into that. But it should not be suffering with this stuff.
Right.
And one of the corrections that they make instantly there, like for example, when people start having, a tough time with the food, they're starting to have a lot of cravings. Sometimes we ask them to pay attention to some of the other stuff. For example, go talk to another guest that you don't know. Yes? Mm-hmm. Try to bond with somebody there. And they can see in that the craving changes. They can observe it in real time.
Isn't that
I just met a person right now, and this interaction.
Now they're getting the serotonin.
Or I'm like, go for a walk with them up a hill here in the jungle. Nature is so sensorial, right? Everything. It's just stimulating everything. You're getting all your dopamine there. The oxytocin, you're bonding with somebody new. The serotonin, you're going on a walk with somebody. The endorphins, you're moving. Yeah? So it's not that complicated. And you can see it if you can see how fast this stuff changes your mood, because what it's really doing is calming this elephant down. And then you can start planning better. It goes with you better. Rather than the elephant having an association of shame or of trauma, which is what happens a lot when we're forcing it too much.
Yeah.
And eventually, we can get away with a lot, but eventually something's going to give.
It will
just give. Yeah. So this is why this is important. Now, I mentioned something about serotonin. Now it's turned out to be bullshit about depression. It's
really?
Fascinating, yes.
Well,
because
I swear, I feel
work
like
on it.
Each research paper that comes out, I have to...
Exactly. But this is very important. This is a super important point that I want to make. Because science is always changing these things. But this is where the biofeedback comes in.
That's right.
Because if science tomorrow comes and tells me, no, you got to change this model, the dopamine is bullshit, the oxytocin is bullshit, this is all bullshit. I don't care. Sensorial pleasures matter. Bonding matters. Doing things that make me feel of purpose, of meaning matters. Moving matters. I feel better. I can do things better with that. I don't care if the names change. And this is very important, again, with all diets too. because everybody has a research paper that will shove in your face and they'll tell you what's the best diet.
Oh my God, I have the Carnivore
Yeah.
Cure. I have
Yeah.
Game Changers. I have
Yeah.
like all these books that all are supported scientifically, but I have to tell you, and I'm a big person on science.
Yeah.
I read everything. However, the body doesn't lie. You know, our bodies will never fail us, and learning to check in with our bodies during this
The
challenge
biofeedback.
is better than any scientific paper.
But, and this is the trick, if I told this to a heroin addict, trust your body, we all know how that's going to go. We need to recalibrate some stuff. We need to learn to trust our bodies again. This is where the cycles come in, and those things start coming, the biofeedback. Start listening to it again, and then we get to trust it again. And with the diet, is fascinating to me, because my favorite diet is
no diet.
No diet. Yeah. The Ashley diet, the Ramiro diet, like where you end up just going by the biofeedback. You got your markers nailed down. Mental clarity, energy, your appetite. Those are the markers that matter for you. For some people, it's inflammation. You got to have your markers down and see whatever gives you that. And you have a higher quality of life. That's it. You're in. Yeah.
And I think just the underlying thing, because it's so out there, is that, everybody says, I want to get out of fight or flight, right?
Yes.
And then that's when you get you should meditate, you should do this, you should do that. And I can tell you, for me personally, it just doesn't.
No.
It does nobody else's prescription. But when I sat down and I went through this with Ramiro and I wrote out DOSE, and I'm like, what gives me dopamine? Okay, let me list that out.
And you go through your senses,
and it's
right?
different.
Like eye, smell, like go through your senses and write them
Yes.
down. Yeah.
Like what? And it's so crazy because almost everything was right here in my yard. Living in this amazing jungle. And then, you go through what gives me O, what gives me S, what gives me E, and then you plan your whole day around that. Yeah. And it feels like the eating choices are very, very simple. Yeah. Because, let's just say this morning I want to go surfing because it gives me all of them, right?
Yeah. One activity.
What am I going to eat for breakfast? Because all of my hormones are balanced and they're ready to receive. So, of course, I'm looking at that mango and it looks incredible. And,
if you went surfing, for me personally, I would have zero issue with you eating a mango. Yeah. Zero. If you were now, again, if when you eat the mango, like this is where we go back to the
right. If you feel like you need to go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. But this is not me telling you. This is your body, right? Like if you eat a mango and you're like, right? Like
no, I only feel that way on Gallo Pinto.
Yes, this is why I'm like, surfing a mango after. Jesus, go for it. Like, okay. So it's not the carbs, yes? It's just get the biofeedback back online. Put the time into it to trust this again. It'll pay off a lot later on. You'll be able to become what they call an experiment of one. Because anytime you see a diet, you'll be able to experiment with it and see what you're looking for. Not what they're telling you, but see if this works for you really. And if it doesn't work for you, you go back, you go do something else.
And it's also amazing to start your day. I know one of the biggest changes when I first started working with you was, I was starting my day with very intense physical exercise.
Yes.
But it was basically like setting up my entire day to be one big need for speed adrenaline rush.
Yes. Exercise.
And so we switched it.
I think the exercise culture right now, is very bad in general, because exercise culture right now is very focused on performance or burning calories, or fat burning, right? And exercise, that can be traumatizing for your body. Why? Because performance-based exercise requires you to type into survival hormones to win. Anytime you're trying to beat a record, to beat somebody else, you need to make use of adrenaline cortisol too much, a dump. That's what gets you to the activity. There's different ways. You can do a CrossFit workout without this stuff. It's all about the intention. It's not the exercise, it's the intention behind it that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I'm back to that workout, by the way, and it's a completely different scenario. But I basically it was like almost 3 months. I would drive down to the beach first thing in the morning, and I would do a walking Joe Dispenza, God love him, meditation. And then Ramiro had me start, wrapping TheraBands around the trees and like adding some resistance training to this. But it completely set the day up totally different.
Yeah. And a quick trick for you to pay attention to, and go back to this feedback with exercise. It's not like, well, how do I do that with exercise? Number one, pay attention to your face. If whatever you're doing this a lot of pain face, that's biofeedback.
Yeah.
You need to make some modifications on that.
If you look like this,
keep going. Yeah. This is good for performance. It would get you faster wherever you want to go if it's performance-based. This advice is the worst advice for an athlete, okay? I'm talking about quality of life, longevity. This is totally different. Your face starts doing that. What happens after 3 times, if you don't make a modification, you're flooded with endorphins. Now you got a painkiller. Now you don't feel the feedback that the body's giving you. And that's eventually could be damaged, right? The second thing, start paying attention now. Whatever activity you do whatever you can with your mouth closed. When you're, again, heart start, sending adrenaline, cortisol everywhere, you're going to be operating purely on a fight or flight response, whatever you're doing. Stay on your exercise activity as long as you're under control of your breath. And it just means breathe through the nose. Now, there's some exercise that require exhales through the mouth, but that's fine. The exhale's fine. I'm talking about more the big gulps of air, yes? So those are 2 quick trips where exercise can really start to switch from something that is traumatizing you to an activity where you're actually in active communication with your body, what it's feeling. You're moving it, but you're still paying attention to
and
what it's
telling you. And I found that I could do it longer because it was more enjoyable.
Yeah.
But what I love is this whole just idea of write your own script. Yeah. And I love the way that this New Year program is put together, because all of the D, the O, the S, the E, all of these components support that.
Yes.
So you don't have to think. Just start trying some of these things. Start trying these things, see how you feel, see how it affects your mental clarity, see how it affects your gut. Did you swell? Exactly. How was your poop afterwards? Were you
have your markers in mind when you start doing this stuff. Whatever it is that's bothering you right now, and when you start on this, see how it changes. Pay attention to what's giving you the biggest bang for your buck.
I'm so surprised. Hardly anyone is asking questions. I think they're... But that's good. That means that they're absorbing. And I see a lot of like validating and whatnot. Also, I will say this. It all works beautifully with fascia blasting, because I'm just thinking, you're going to get dopamine. Yeah. You're going to calm the nervous system from a physical standpoint. Yeah. If you're doing it in live feeds, there's that sense of community.
The feedback is so strong and it's so real.
And so instant.
Yes, so instant. And again, the whole stress release. I see the fascia blasting, to me, is a form of hygiene. This is like brushing my teeth now. This is how I understand. This is why when Ashley did some work on my wife, the changes that I saw in her was there were things that my wife had been trying to do for years, and I saw it in one little casual session that she had with her. Changes in her structure, spinal structure. It was shocking to me. And then I got into it. I was like, we need to bring this into here. This is a missing component.
Hygiene, yes. Yeah. I always say, brush your teeth, brush your hair, brush your fascia. But it really, it is a form of self-care. Yeah. It is great for the hormones. Yeah. I mean, there's just nothing. To me, it's like surfing. It's like
absolutely.
It's kind of the catch-all. And we should have that: surfing, sex, and fascia blasting.
There you go.
that's your plan, everybody.
Perfect. By the way, the face like that doesn't count on sex. That one you can do as much as you want.
Oh, okay, cool. I gotta go. All right, everybody. Well, I'm so happy that you joined in. I see so many people that stayed for the entire thing. We definitely are going to have a replay, and we're also going to slice and dice this and put it into Ancestral Health. So make sure you join that group in Facebook. If you're not already signed up for the New Year, New You, you're going to be getting not only this information, but also the daily encouragement and the daily task. Right, sent to your email, and it's all free. So if you're not signed up, really sign up. Grab a friend, have them sign up. This is really my gift. I feel like I live in the most amazing place on the planet. Have the most amazing personal coaches, and that's what I'm giving to you guys with Ramiro, with Jared and Lau, with Corey and Lisa, with Jacinia. These are all the world experts in their field, and all you got to do is follow along in your email. Like, how easy is that? So thank you for joining us. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments. And people are like, I have the flu. Yeah, I had a little something nasty last week. All these flights. It's so I cannot fly without getting sick.
Oh my God, I remember last time I was on a plane.
I'm gonna be like on a gas mask next time that I fly. But anyway, you guys no, you're not too late. Definitely send in your pics, and even if you're not competing for the grand prize. All you have to do. All these people that are asking questions, we're going to respond right here in the replay and the comments. We've got to download it and repost it. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but we can either inbox you or drop it in the comments. We'll figure out a way. That's what my team is amazing at. And then you just get the emails right to your inbox. Okay? So thank you, Ramiro. By the way, the grand prize for the New Year, New You is $1,000 cash prize. And yes, Lori Harding, do it for your health. And to be able to come and experience Hacienda del Sol for a week. And what is the value? I've always done some sort of trade or like how much is a week to do the juice cleanse?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Thousands of dollars. You get the coaching. You're going to have Fascia Blaster classes. There's certified people available there to do the Fascia Blaster treatments, as well as tons of other amazing treatments. Cannot say enough about Hacienda del Sol. I think it was divine intervention that this place is so close to me. And you'll also meet me because I will be coming over there and taking you for some fun. So anyway, I hope I see some of our past winners on here. So it's a real thing. We really give it away. And I hope it's you. So you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.